This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Welcome to #Ad by Penji. This is the podcast where we discuss everything influencer marketing related. We talk tips to help assist you in your influencer journey, and we do so much more. I'm your host, Daniela, and I'm Penji's influencer coordinator. I'm joined today here with a very special guest, Dalia Van Loo. Hi, Dalia. How are you?
Good, how are you? And my last name is Van Lom. I know it's hard to pronounce.
Van Loo. I'm sorry. What language is it?
So it's Dutch. It's my husband's name. I'm actually from Peru originally. So my maiden name is Cervantes Bonifaz. Completely different. But yeah, my husband's, it's like Dutch.
Sorry that Van Lom. But I speak Spanish. I don't speak Dutch though, so I could probably pronounce Cervantes Boniface a lot easier.
Yeah, I speak Spanish too. Great, yeah.
It's great to have you today on the podcast. For anybody who wants to get to know you or who doesn't know about you and what you do, can you tell us a little bit about yourself as an introduction?
Yes, of course. My name is Dalia Van Lom. I
Mhm.
am a content creator for business owners and solopreneurs, and I teach business owners how to stand out online with video content specifically.
Okay. So that's very interesting that you focus on video content. I think video is very popular right now with social media. It's sort of grown a lot, especially short form. At Penji, we get a lot of customers who have businesses and who want to have that social media presence. For people that want to start delving into that side of video for their business, what do you think is the biggest advice that you have for them?
So there are so many things I could tell you. The biggest advice for people diving into video, I would say just start with something simple and easy like B-roll video. So start creating B-roll is video of your lifestyle, things that happen to you on your day to day. So start creating little video clips of what's already happening to you, So it's also a really good way to connect with your potential clients because you want to let them in a little bit. So you can use this small video clips not only for reels but also for your stories to let them in a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. For I'm curious because I think we've seen also a surge of bigger companies doing social media on their own marketing strategies. And it's
Mhm.
obviously a very different approach than from a startup or a small business or an up and coming business. Overall, what is your strategy when it comes to using social media for business? And is it affected by the size of that business?
So my overall strategy is moving people from my social media channels to my email list because you got to remember that social media platforms are basically they're not ours, right? We're on their space basically. So everything that we do in there is not necessarily ours. They could take it away at any point. It's basically like us renting a house. We're not owning it. But your email list, you own your email list. So that is the biggest thing that I try to focus on with my own strategy and my client's strategy to make sure that every single post has a goal. And the main goal is to move them into my email list because that's mine. Nobody can take that away from me. And that's where I can also warm up my audience even more and then sell when I want to launch something.
And you have complete creative freedom there, right? I think social
Right.
media can be kind of restricting because of algorithms and changes that they have on the platform. I'm curious, what do you think are the most effective platforms for business on social media? I think we have every day there's a new app coming up, and
Mhm.
the apps that are already existing are also changing a lot. I remember like back in 2012, Facebook was like the coolest thing ever, and now Facebook old people and harder. That's what change that happens. It really changes like the market and I guess like the environment for business owners that want to get into social media and probably don't know which one they should focus on the most. Which platform do you think is better?
So this is very subjective, and I'm going to tell you why. The best platform for you to focus on for to show up for your business is the one platform you like using the most, because that's the platform you're going to be showing up the most, and it's going to be the most sustainable to keep up with, because nowadays there are so many. You're right, there's so many platforms, so it's almost impossible if you don't have a huge team to be able to show up on all of them. So my advice is, one, pick the one that where your ideal clients are hanging out. So make sure that you know for sure who is your audience, who do you want as clients. And depending on their age group, on their likings, on their lifestyle, they're gonna be on specific social media platforms. My ideal audience hangs out on Instagram. So that's the one that I focus on the most, because it also happens to be the one that I love hanging out in. Because I've
Okay.
tried TikTok, I've tried X, I've tried all of the social media platforms, and out of all of them, Instagram, actually, I like being there. I like posting on stories. I like commenting in there. It's easy for me, so I know I can keep it sustainable. And so that's what I would say. Just pick one that where your ideal audience is hanging out, and one that you like, so you can keep it sustainable.
So I have a question because I think I've talked to a lot of people who are trying to grow on their socials and they tend to make one video and use it for all of their platforms, right? Like we see cross posting becoming more and more popular. What is your opinion on that strategy of just creating something and then cross posting it everywhere?
So I've done that. It doesn't work. Because each social media platform is different. Each audience wants to see something different. For example, Instagram is a little more into aesthetic, and people want to see videos that have more going on. They're not necessarily completely professionally edited, but they want to see some edits in there. They don't want just raw video. Now, TikTok wants raw video. And if you go into TikTok and you just start talking like you're talking to your best friend and you don't add anything in it, those videos do so much better than the videos that are more professionally edited. So it's just a different audience. Like people on Instagram want to see quick things, quick wins, and they want to see transitions and effects and all of this. But on TikTok, it's just more raw. So some of them you could repurpose, but what I focus on, and I also tell my clients, is instead of repurposing the video, repurpose the idea. So you start with an idea, and then that idea could become an email. That idea could become an Instagram post. It could become a TikTok post. It could become a lot of different things, but each platform kind of needs its own thing if you want to succeed in that platform. If you're just trying to be in all the platforms and you don't really care about growing or pulling an audience from each platform, which is literally the goal of social media. You want to get clients, right? You want to grow with an audience that actually wants to buy from you. So, but if you're just into just posting for posting, then yeah, that's what pill means. But that is not my goal. It's not my goal for my clients. We are business owners after all. I'm not a an influencer. If you're an influencer, sure, right? But if you're a business owner and actually want to make money by pulling in clients, then I recommend you use each platform how it needs to be used and how people want to talk to in each platform.
I think what's interesting, what you said about being an influencer and being a business owner on social media is a very important distinction.
Mhm.
Mhm. I think people tend to give a very influencer a kind of approach from the influencer point of view to social media for a business, and they don't realize that when you're running a business, it's very different than when you're just putting yourself out there and trying to get, views and giving up entertainment because it's very different the way that people are also consuming your content. Right?
Exactly. It
Yeah.
is. It is. And the strategy is completely different too, because if you're an influencer, you want to focus on the most growth, right? So then you have to play to the platforms. You have to play with the platform, right? You got to make sure that you are doing the things that the platform wants you to do to be able to grow. So it's a different strategy than pulling in clients, because for clients, you don't need a huge audience. You just need an audience that connects with you and wants to buy from you, which is a completely different game. For that, you want to make content that actually connects with people, content that is gonna engage them, but connect in a different level, like establish that feeling. That's what I focus on, like creating a vibe, establishing a feeling, because that's what people remember. People don't remember that you told them, like, oh, there were 3 tips on my favorite, or how do you make a reel. Like, they don't remember that. Everybody can tell them that. What makes you different is your personality, your take on things, so that's where the magic is. That's the kind of content you should be creating.
And I think a very important distinction also to make is how a business needs to reach their audience, that has purchasing power. Because I've seen a lot of people who maybe have a very active social media for their business,
Mm.
but people that are trying to buy from them are in countries where they don't sell, or, from an age group that is not of purchasing power yet. And so, I mean, is that actually converting into sales, or is it just become making your social media really popular? Right?
Exactly. And like, what's the point of being popular if you can sell?
Ha-
I'm here to be friends with everyone. I already have a lot of friends. And I want clients. That's the whole point of for a business owner to be in social media, is for clients exposure, to make sure social media helps you to create this expertise, show you as the expert in your field. And it can help you pull clients if you do it correctly. If you're just following a bunch of trends and doing what the influencers do, you're not going to grow an engaging audience that wants to buy from you. You're going to grow followers who just want free things from you, free content from you all the time. We don't want that as business owners.
So another question that I have, because I think a lot of struggles that business owners have when it comes to starting or doing social media is that they are not particularly either they're not tech savvy or they're not into social media at all. But I think the current market is demanding for anybody who owns a business to have a social media presence, right? Um,
Yeah, it's like your an extension of your website. At this point, you don't even need a website. Just have a social media platform.
as long as you have an Instagram account, I think that works, right? So what happens is that for people who are not, I think for someone who is married, maybe like young and who has grown up with social media and has a grasp of it because it's always been there, or for someone who is into social media and enjoys it, it might be easier to venture into these platforms. But for those people who are not interested in it at all, but they kind of just see themselves backed up into a corner and they're like, well, whether I like it for myself or not, my business needs it. What is your best advice? Like, what do you do? Because I think that's a very big factor of these kind of like older crowd or just people who are not into social media at all that are just overwhelmed. And it feels like it's getting more and more complex every day, you know?
Yeah, it's true. I actually have signed a couple clients recently, a couple weeks ago. They're two older ladies. They're in their 60s, and they used to be college professors, and now they teach younger people, students, how to learn based on neuroscience and all of their years of experience. And we were talking about it was very interesting what they were telling me. It was very interesting. I was captivated by one of the ladies. She was talking about all of this. And I went into their social media and all they have is just infographics. And then it's just there's no personality, there's no vibe in there, no videos. It's basically just like it kind of feels like an ad. They're not ads, but that's what it feels like, right? There's no call to engage with them. They don't know how to use it. So they were telling me that they've been posting consistently for a whole year and nobody barely ever comments in there. They don't get leads from there. I'm like, yeah, of course you don't get leads because there's no vibe here.
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody cares. Like you're basically just leaving flyers on doors, on windows, on cars. Who cares? If I see a flyer on my car window, I'm just gonna grab it and throw it away. I'm not gonna read it. I have no interest for this random flyer that's in there. There's nothing for me in there. There's no vibe. There's no excitement. Nothing. So, but she was telling me, and she's a great writer, the one of the ladies, and she was telling me, I know how to write, but I just don't know how to write the way that you know how to write to pull people in. And I tell people a lot, I preach this a lot. You need to focus on the vibe. Think of your social media platform as a party that you want to invite people to hang out at, like you need to be present in there, right? Because you're the host of the party. You need to make it fun. You need to make it inviting. You need to make it welcoming, right? Like for people to show up. You don't say like, "Hey, I'm having a party," and that's it. You have to tell them about, you're gonna have entertainment and you're gonna have food and then you're gonna cater to this. You have to like mention all of this, make it exciting so people
Like,
actually show up to your party. Right.
yeah, exactly. And I think that that's kind of like it. I guess for someone like these ladies that you said, it's hard to grasp because I think an older crowd is very much used to the kind of marketing where you're just kind of getting showed things
Yeah,
and it's not interactive. Whereas now,
exactly.
yeah, it's very much like interactive. I mean, we see brands commenting on people's videos. We see them talking to them, having like jokes and stuff. And I guess it's very different than from before when it was just like, buy our burger.
I know. Like now, engagement and interaction is a huge part of it. And well, that's social media. It's about being social. It's in the name right there. You got to be social. So,
Yeah.
what I would recommend, honestly, is get help. Get get help. Get someone. Delegate this part because this is not your zone of genius. There's no point of wasting your time on something that is not your zone of genius. Something that your purpose, right? If it's not what you're meant to do, then just hire someone else to do it. Someone that knows how to do it. It makes so much sense. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we have a never-ending list of tasks. We always have things to do. So why would you try and figure this new thing out when you can just get someone to help you with this? It's the best way to go about it to save you time and money, honestly, because eventually all the time that you're gonna be spending trying to do research and trying to figure out and having all these headaches, you could have been spending it towards your business, making it grow, and focusing on your zone of genius.
And I think in general, it's just not realistic for a person to be able to do it all at once, right? As a business owner, you have to, I guess, be aware of things like finance and marketing and the accounting. And you also have to be on sales and you also have to be on the creative team and product team. And I mean, there's so many teams. You also have to like do HR. And it's not realistic, I think, as a business is growing for one person to be handling it all.
Yeah.
So, like you
If
said,
anything, also, like, a main thing I would like to say is don't post just to post, because that's not doing anything. Like, I just gave you a great example of someone that's been posting for a year with nothing, and it doesn't work.
it's
It's
not gonna
not
be worth.
successful, and you're just wasting time in there. So have a strategy, right? Have a strategy for each post. Like, how is each post connecting with your audience? How is it moving them from a follower or a pass buyer into someone that's in your email list, someone that could be a client. Like figure out all like strategies for this. And that will be my main advice, to delegate this to someone that knows how to do it. And then the rest of the stuff you can implement, because it really is not that hard to create a reel, for example. Like once you know what you're talking about, and once you know the goal, and once you know what you should be including in there, it's really not that hard to execute. So if you want to learn, then you can kind of do like a hybrid situation. I do this with clients. I have a couple clients right now that we have a hybrid situation. So I teach them how to do things and kind of like let them do it. And if they run into trouble, then I kind of help them through it. But that way they're learning to do it on themselves, on their own, so then they can keep it going. And we use a lot of automations for things, and we use AI when we can, because AI is huge. It helps a lot to get you started. Not
Yeah.
I don't want to say just like grab AI and post that. No, it's just a good place to get started, because sometimes brainstorming is really hard.
Yeah, the AI at least will give you an idea and you can just like polish that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what you say resonates with me in a lot of things because I think I have a similar experience when I started working out. I started going to the gym and I had never like exercised in my life, so I was obviously really lost and
Okay.
I was not doing anything right. And I think it was kind of like the same thing that you said of people telling me like, if you're just coming here, you have no idea what to do in order to like work out. If you don't have a goal, like what are you trying to do? You're trying to like lose weight, you're trying to gain muscle, what is it? And you're just kind of like doing random exercises. Of course, it's not motivating. Of course, you're not going to enjoy it. And of course, you're not going to like get anything out of it. You're just wasting your time and your money by coming here all the time. So you need to learn how to work out before you actually start doing things. And I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Cause I was like so frustrated. I was like, I hate this. We'll get legit from mine.
Yeah, you have to have a goal. The main thing for everything in your life is having a goal. Without a goal, how do you even like? There's no motivation. You're right. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you if there's no goal? If you're not getting something at the end, right? That's how us humans work. We need to have a prize at the end, a goal.
Yeah. If there's no goal, I think we sort of lose our way of doing things. You have to have something that you're working towards. And then once that has been met, you have to work towards a new thing. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I honestly like revise my strategy monthly. I look at it monthly because everything changes and my goal might have changed. My goal this last month was to promote my masterclass, and then so my whole content for that month was focused on that. And then my goal this month is not that anymore. So it just kind of changes a little bit. So you have to keep up with what you have going on, because the goal is to promote your business always. That is always the
Yeah.
goal. But what part of your business, or what
How are you?
are you focusing on that month, right?
So that actually brings me to the last question because I think a lot of people who maybe they can understand this whole aspect of like, setting up a goal and having a clear picture. But I think a lot of struggles that people have or you
Yeah, it's just something moved. Okay. All right.
a lot of struggles that people have stumbled upon when it comes to social media is actually the execution part, which is coming up with content creation ideas and then filming and editing. And even if it's like a really short video and you're going to edit it directly on whatever platform you're using, right? Like sometimes it doesn't even mean that you need to like use something outside, but I think it's still a struggle that people have faced, which is how do I even come up with an idea? How do I even know if this video is gonna be good? Like, where do I get all of this from? How does why does it seem like it comes so easy to Coca-Cola and not me? Correct?
Yeah.
So, what can you say to that sort of struggle that people are constantly facing of, what am I gonna even post?
Yeah. So what I would recommend is to focus on setting up your base first. So figure out your branding, figure out who you're talking to, your target audience. This is huge, because if you don't know who you're talking to, then what are you going to make? And then also figure out your content pillars, the things that you're going to be talking about constantly. So those are going to give you the base for everything you create. And then how do you figure your content pillars, for example? How do you figure your audience, right? Like, even if we go back a little more, ask AI. Let's use the help of AI nowadays. Because, like, back in the day, I would tell you, go to a search engine, Google, Quora, answer the people or answer the public. All of those will give you ideas. But nowadays AI is free and you can use it. Like, you can literally go to ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is, and just ask, like, hey, I am a content creator for business owners and I help them create video. And then you ask,
Give me
what would be 5 content pillars that I can talk about on my Instagram for content? And then you ask, what would be my ideal client if I usually like working with creatives or people that are into holistic or whatever? And then it expands on it. And then that way you have something to go from and you can keep asking it questions. It can keep helping you. So please use AI to help you a little bit with these things because it's for me, I'm in awe that people don't use AI at this point. Like, we have it so easily available.
I think it's still a very new tool. People are still learning to use it. And new features are constantly coming out. And so it's definitely something that's up and coming. I think we're gonna see a big surge of it in the future. I mean, in the coming
Uh,
months and years, we're gonna start to see more and more people utilizing it. Because at least for me, I discovered ChatGPT and I never went back. Like
Right.
don't. I would like this is so useful for when I don't know what to write, like for an email or when my brain is just dead. And by no means is ChatGPT replacing my head because they don't always give you good ideas. And the AI sometimes just like says really random things or things that make no sense or is way too extra, but it still gives you something that you can polish instead of starting from zero.
And it can also help you format things too for for repurposing. That's a huge part of my strategy is I try to repurpose everything. Because why would I create so many things when I can just repurpose, right? So, for example, one hack that I've been doing a lot, I'm not a writer. I don't really enjoy writing that much, but I love talking. I can talk for hours. So what I started doing is I to create emails, inspiring emails, I started just recording my voice talking about a story because I love telling stories. I'll talk about a story and then I will go and use AI to get a transcription, a text transcription. And then I will go into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, hey, can you make this story or transcription into a relatable email for my target audience, entrepreneurs, small business owners, to get them inspired to post content? These are all my words. I said them, right? And what ChatGPT would do is just make it formatted into an email form.
Yes.
Yeah. So then, and then I go in and then obviously I look through it and I make sure that I make it me, right? Because ChatGPT or any AI is still not you. You still have to add your magic on it. So I make sure that it's me, but it just helps so much to get it out because sometimes that's the hardest part to get the idea out or to formulate the idea. And then with this same situation, I can go in and tell AI, can you create a real outline for this? If I were to post it as a reel, or can you make this into a carousel? And it gives you, and if you ask this specific questions, it helps you so much.
Yeah, it's true. It definitely AI is a game changer nowadays.
Mhm.
So it's been great having you today, Dalia. For anybody who wants to get your advice on growing their social media or who would like to hear more about what you have to say, the floor is yours to talk about where they can find you or any cool projects that you're working on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. I love this. I love answering questions and talking about social media content. For anybody that wants to find me, I hang out on Instagram. That is where I love being, and my handle is Dalia for Reels. So Dalia with no H, for Reels, like Instagram Reels. But it's kind of a play in words because I also talk about authenticity a lot. So I am for Reels. So that's where you will find me and then we can connect. At the moment, I am working on a workshop that's going to be helping you, business owner, solopreneur, to put your personality, your vibe into your content so you attract leads towards you, so you attract aligned clients towards you. And that's going to be coming up pretty soon. So definitely follow on Instagram and you'll see all the stuff that comes up with that.
Awesome. Yeah, we will be adding all of those links to the description of this so that people can go in and find you. And everybody, I will see you on the next episode. Thank you, Dalia.
Thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.